We're taking it slow, crafting life as we go. From laughs to tools, from brews to skies, we're squeezing joy, no need to try. It's life with a twist of lemon. Two best friends and a vibe you can lean on. Tales, ideas, and a pinch of delight. We're bringing sunshine day or night. It's life with a twist of lemon. Two best friends and a vibe you can lean on. Tales, ideas, and a pinch of delight. We're bringing sunshine day or night. Life with a twist. Life with a twist. Life with a twist of lemon.
So, Jonathan, I think it's well known that I'm not a big fan of Facebook. At least I feel like I've established that over time. That said, I do have an account. I've had an account for quite some time. And I recently got a strange friend request, Jonathan.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Care to explain how we became unfriended?
So I used to be a big fan of Facebook. Then I became less of a fan of Facebook, and I went through a major friend purge. Now I do that regularly, pretty much whenever I see things I don't want to see anymore. And during one of those friend purges, your account was deactivated, along with Mrs. Lemon's. And I, at the time, believed you would never come back to Facebook.
Fascinating. So, because I was deactivated, you unfriended me.
Yes.
I think this is an inbox zero problem. Are you an inbox zero guy?
I absolutely am.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And so you have to know everything that's on the list, whatever the list may be. You have to know everything, and it has to have intrinsic value by virtue of being on the list.
Probably. And I literally believed you would never come back to Facebook. Didn't you script something to delete everything in all of your social profiles?
I did delete almost all of the content. Yes. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Well, okay. So there's a difference between the thing that I have done and sharing it out and the thing that I want to see and consume. So maybe I should start with why I was back on Facebook. And to be clear, this has been multiple years. My account has been reactivated.
So I noticed because we've restarted the podcast. So
and I went and I probably liked something.
And you liked something. Yeah. It's oh.
Yeah. So I think I reactivated my account the first time when my dad passed away, which was over 2 years ago. But I had periodically reactivated it to see things going on in my subdivision community, because the HOA, it's really the only way to get information about what's going on. And
it's probably better than the alternative, which is next door.
Oh yeah, well, next door's hot trash. Don't even get me started. We don't have enough time for that. But the point being here, so I re-enabled it with the primary purpose of finding out what food truck was going to be in the subdivision during the summer. And yeah. I don't post. The other thing that I did, and this will just show you how far back this goes, when I went on the Alaska cruise, I had joined the cruise Facebook group probably a good, 6 to 9 months before the cruise. In fact, I talked to you.
You did talk to me about a Facebook group, and I guess it didn't click.
I talked to you about the Facebook cruise group.
Actually, I wonder if I was not on Facebook at that point in time.
I don't know. You're an enigma. So, but I talked about it then, and I'm pretty sure that I told you that it was useful for Italy as well. Right? When I went,
this is coming back to me. I don't know why I didn't connect the two together. So, or I literally forgot that I didn't, or that I unfriended you when you were deactivated. I don't know what happened, Dan. But as you can see, we are not the Facebook users we once were.
I've got one more data point, Jonathan. If you recall, we went on a cruise together last spring, right?
Correct.
And we talked about the Facebook group.
Winter still, but
for that one. Yeah, it was winter. Sorry, it was winter. But we actually talked about it while on the boat together. Because you kept asking me, what special things do I need to know about on this cruise? You were asking me what the inside track was on those cruises.
I tried to join a Facebook group once, and it had to have been for the last cruise.
Which I was in,
which is
right?
What we talked about.
I'm pretty sure I shared the deets on this with you. I'm dead confident I did.
I have no idea, man. Sorry.
Also, I believe we had some discussions about me selling my camping gear. Do you remember that?
On Marketplace, yes, I do
Yeah,
remember this. So,
Facebook
so
Marketplace.
here's the question, Stan.
All right, well,
How
hold on,
come
wait, there's
you
more.
didn't notice before this?
I don't have an answer for that, Jonathan. I don't. But do you recall the Whole Foods incident with the Facebook Marketplace?
Foods incident?
Whole
Whole
Foods, where I
Foods
went
incident.
downtown to meet someone,
You were on
and
the
they
phone
straight
with
up,
me, and then they
yes, I was
didn't
on,
show.
yes, the whole time for a Facebook
Something
Marketplace
about
meetup.
a parking garage, right?
What about when I sold the kayaks? Do you remember that?
I remember that you told me that you sold the kayaks, but we weren't on the phone when you did that.
Yeah, but Facebook Marketplace again. So anyhow, I'm
Okay.
just laying out a long string of data points here.
So the moral of this story is, if you were friends with me at one point and we aren't friends currently, you can try to add me.
Yeah, there you go. John Rage quit you. No, he didn't. He just is an inbox zero guy. So this is, I think there's a
More
philosophical
context
discussion.
is I had like, I don't know, 1,500 friends at one point in time 10 years ago, and I purged, and now I try to like sit around 150 tops. So
It's a fascinating number. You're crazy. What I would say is, I think, Jonathan, that our generation, you and me, and I'm an inbox zero guy too, to a certain extent, we need to transition from lists to buckets. Okay.
okay.
Lists to buckets. So lists, like one through N, I
Is
walk
this
the
like
list,
the
boom, boom,
the
boom,
whole
boom,
getting
boom.
things done thing?
No. I'm going to write a book. No, lists to buckets. This is going to be my book. This is my mindset, right? So we've lived our lives with lists of things, and let me ask you this: do you the notes app on your phone? Do you ever prune the notes in there? Do you get rid of old notes?
I don't, but I don't think I use the notes app as much as you do. I think I
Okay,
just
that could be.
keeping notes. So now I pull it up
So
this thing.
I'm trying to move to a bucket person for my notes app instead of a list person. This is the thing, right? So list people, the inbox zero crowd, right? One through N, they got to know everything in the list, right? Where there's the bucket people, we put it all into the bucket. And when we need it, we just go find it, right? And we don't worry about read, unread, complete, none of like we just live free as a lily in the bucket rather than on the list.
So then do you just choose what you want to do in the bucket when you're in the bucket?
Yeah, if I need something in the bucket, I go to the bucket, I get the thing I need, and then I move on with life.
Just for informational purposes? Or is
Well,
this like your whole productivity shift?
I don't know. It's a productivity shift. It actually could be an unproductivity shift, to be completely honest with you. The only place where I keep, I shouldn't say this. This is not true. The only place I'm trying to keep a regimented list of things is the reminders app. Everything else I want to treat like a bucket. And I struggle to do this, Jonathan. I struggle to do this.
This is so interesting to me.
The way that I get around because my inbox zero mindset has existed for, I'm going to
Longer
say
than you've
30
known
years.
me, probably.
Yeah, I'm going to say 30 years. I've been an inbox zero guy for 30 years, right? And I think we've talked a little bit about this before in terms of disk storage, but I think we come from a era where the size of files still mattered, or the size of things in your inbox still mattered, right? And so we had to prune for that purpose. I'm trying to get to a point where I don't do the pruning, and so and Gmail, I think, actually did a fantastic job driving some people to this mindset. I don't use Gmail, so maybe that's part of my problem. But I'm just archiving stuff and not worrying about whether or not I'm going to need it or keep it or any of that. And in order to maintain my inbox zero like tendency, I just archive it all. So I almost don't
So,
use the inbox. I basically use the archive folder.
so do you triage email in the inbox, or do you just like select all and archive whenever you're doing email?
I triage so I've finally gotten myself to the point where I don't look at email all the time, right?
Nice.
Which, yeah, that was hard. That was really hard because that was actually the first time I bought data for a cell phone, was just so I could look at email. This is back when we were still paying per text message, and I didn't care about text messaging, right? We're going to say circa 2004. And
Okay.
I had this beautiful Hitachi phone. I absolutely loved it. Anyhow, So it's taken me a while to get to that point. The next journey for me is to not even worry about the archive and just leave it in the inbox. But I'm not there yet. So what I do is basically I go through and I archive, boom, 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 boom. I delete like promo stuff, boom, 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 right? Or I unsubscribe. But if I need to reply to it right away or within the next like week, I leave it in there. Otherwise, I archive it.
Okay. I'm not entirely sure how this is different than me with
It
my personal
well,
email. With my work email, because I'm in Outlook and using the split view, I literally like open up every email, for better or worse, and then I will either archive or delete. But like I've never gone into specific folders. I just use the search bar for everything.
yeah. So folders, sorting and organizing, that's something that I'm trying to get away from.
Yeah, I don't do that at
Um,
all.
and I used to like delete things that were no longer relevant.
There is one exception to my folder rule is tax documents. Like when I
Oh
register
yeah.
vehicles in the middle of the year, I do put those in a tax folder so that I can find them when I need to file taxes.
Yeah. Okay. I do that too. I think that's that's exceptional. But I mean like tax is just a weird use case. So anyhow, I think the thing like a traditional inbox zero person, they work the list from one to end, and it's either like it's very action oriented, right? And my whole thing is like sweep most of it in an archive. The things I have to reply to in the next week, I leave in the inbox, right? So the only thing the inbox is for replies. Everything else, just I'm constantly sweeping an archive, and I'll go find it if I need it later.
I
Um,
think that there is something else that has changed in your work life, Stan, that has allowed for this because you aren't like the producer anymore. You are making other people produce things.
I mean, I produce a fair amount of like documentation and instructions and stuff. So I don't know. That's totally true, but I like work is actually a totally different ball game for me. My work inbox is completely unbounded. Um, what I will do very often is I'll select all and just delete it, like wholesale. Won't even look at it. Um, that has yet to get me in trouble because I like most. I mean, like honestly,
That would definitely get things in trouble for me. But
most of my email is not material, right? And so much of it is time bound that if I don't get to it in, let's say, 48 hours, it's irrelevant by that point anyhow, right? And so yeah, I actually do the same thing in Slack. I just mark everything as read, just move on with life.
so, how do you know when something goes awry?
Well, okay. Uh, Usually someone that I trust will tell me, right? I I
So you're
think when
basically screening your phone calls.
that could be that might actually be exactly what I'm doing. I haven't thought about this in terms of the actual process. I just know there's so much intake that it's overwhelming, like it's too much. And so I don't have the ability to filter out what is actually urgent. So I have to trust on like if it comes from these six people, right? Then I need to address it. Otherwise, no.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because
I
here's the other
feel
thing
like I
too.
have
So
more questions, but I don't know what they are. You just
here's
live
the
in
other
a
thing that I've
different
noticed.
world.
Here's the thing that I've noticed too. If it's super important and I ignore it, what's gonna happen 9 times out of 10 is the person who needs to get my attention is probably going to go to one of my lieutenants that I always respond to and ping them.
Okay.
Right. I'm not just to be clear too. I'm not saying this is good. I'm not saying this is like a great practice, but in
Well, you should
2025,
probably formalize the practice if that's what you're going to do.
yeah, it could be. It could be. I've tried. Man, calendaring is a whole other thing, but the general, uh, I guess the general take on this is there's so much content inbound at any given moment that I've just chosen not to engage with any of it. Right.
I like it.
Um, and that forces people to be crisper, clearer, more direct, and also to like escalate it in such a way that when it does finally get my attention, it's because I need to actually look at it, right? Um,
And
and
it's
and I
probably at a point then where it's worth your time to look at.
yeah, most likely. I mean, sometimes not, but most likely. And I contrast this like when I started at Salesforce, I read every single email, every single hip chat message. I knew everything that was going on, and that was also part of my superpower. but the volume of it was also an order of magnitude different than the like volume of the comparables today in 2025. So,
Interesting.
but buckets, right? So in the
Buckets.
bucket, I can go find the thing, because this is the other key piece to this, right? So when someone says, "Hey, Stan, have you looked at X, Y, or Z?" Then I'm like, "No." I go back to the bucket and I search for X or Y or Z, and I start to compile things. Or I jump into Slack, run a Slack AI summary on a channel, like, there's the thing that I needed to know. Cool, right?
I think I like it.
I have a general philosophy that most urgent things are not urgent, and a large percentage of them will auto resolve, right? And this is, I mean, like every rule like this breaks down, but if you just buffer your intake, you don't give credit, or you don't give credence, really. You don't dignify the urgency, right? So if you don't dignify the urgency, sometimes you actually pressure test that it's not urgent.
And you haven't gotten in trouble for being unresponsive.
No, well, think about it, right? Like if my manager needs something, I'm not going to ignore that message,
Right.
right? And so there's some natural like bubble up points. And the other thing too is like if my manager comes to me with X, right? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work my Rolodex and go find out the deets, right? And then I get the information in succinct, clear form and pass it up. The other thing that can happen is sometimes I get wind of something and then I pass it up to my manager, right? And by that point, like I'm filtering hopefully to them in the same way.
I think I just live in a different world than you, Stan. But
It could be. I mean,
I'm managing a system critical platform too. So like Cloudflare goes down and it's affecting HubSpot, and I get 27 Teams messages almost immediately. Um, it's like, yes, I know
I
it's
have
down.
I have
No,
similar
there is
situations.
literally nothing I can do about this. So here's the
Yeah.
status page for HubSpot.
There's always legitimate urgency. I just think it tends to be less frequent than most of the people I work with think it is.
Right. And I probably err on the side of doing things for other people that I don't need to be doing.
Well, you're a fixer, right? Like that's kind
I
of
am
your
a fixer.
persona.
Yeah,
So, and I feel like at the stage of my career, I'm not paid to be a fixer. I'm paid to be like a
an
discerner.
architect. Oh.
Yeah, no, a discerner, right? I would call it discerner. Yeah.
Okay.
How did we
Those,
go from?
those are
Oh,
my
we went
goals.
from
We were talking
lists and
about
buckets.
buckets, which I still don't completely understand. But I think like, okay, I have a personal email box and a work email box.
Here's my challenge to you: go a week without looking at your personal email. Could you do it?
Probably except for like 2FA codes that I get into it.
Yeah, but do you use the mail app or do you use Gmail?
I use the mail app on my phone
Okay, so it'll just get those and it'll autofill them and it'll delete them and you won't have to worry about it.
sometimes.
Seriously, like you want to kind of mess with your head and the world that we come from historically. Turn off the badge to your mail. Turn off all notifications, and
Why do you
then
think that I have the badge on?
you just strike me as a notification guy. You're always talking about your
Oh,
phone
I
being
hate
distracting.
notifications.
I know you hate them, but do you all right, hold on. Do you have mail notifications enabled at all right now?
No,
Okay. Do you
not
have the
even a little
badge?
bit. No,
So you just open it periodically.
I open it periodically.
Okay.
And for the
All right.
personal email, not that often, like probably once in the morning.
Okay. All right. Maybe that's not so bad then.
Sometimes I think about turning off badges on messages, but I figure there's a good chance I get in trouble at some point with that.
Hmm. I could never imagine turning off a badge on messages. I do use the reduce interruptions focus quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. I don't use that, but I have a work focus where I think literally Anna and you can get through.
Yeah. Well, all right.
The only
Trust.
reason that you can get through is because something terrible could happen and then I have responsibility. So,
There you go. Exactly. Uh, listen, the bucket thing, keep less lists, be less organized. That's
I think
that's
I've
the
probably
goal.
gotten here just because I'm lazy, because I'm nowhere near what I used to be, as far as tasking out everything or things of that nature. Oh
All right,
no.
Jonathan, what's next?
I just saw you and your family, and you weren't dying this year, so it actually happened. We drank wine. It was great.
All right.
Okay.
So, Jonathan, moving on from buckets and lists, let's talk about Thanksgiving. How was your
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving? Did you eat turkey or ham?
I ate turkey. I did have some ham, like cold cut meat, for lunch one day.
Okay, and how did that go?
It was fine. Ham isn't my favorite.
Why is ham not your favorite? Because this actually surprised me because you like other pork dishes.
I like pork dishes. I like cured hams and spiced hams and things like that, but just straight up deli meat ham, not great.
Okay. Well, have you had boar's head ham?
I'm sure I have. It's just not my favorite. I like roast beef. I like chicken breast. And then I like capicola, salamis,
Well, everybody loves
stuff like that.
salami. I think my son Henry is the only person I know that doesn't like salami.
Prosciutto.
Oh,
Pretty much
prosciutto. But that's
anything
just
that you would
ham.
find on a right. Pretty much anything you would find on a Italian sub.
Okay. Which, like, if you go to Subway and you get an Italian BMT, it has ham.
Okay. Maybe it just needs something else then.
All right. So, turkey. How did you cook your turkey?
So we were at my wife's family's for Thanksgiving, and they have been deep frying turkey for 24 years, I think we decided. So, deep fried turkey.
That's so fascinating. I don't like deep fried turkey is fine. It's not my favorite way to get to eat turkey, to be honest with you.
Come. I don't know. It was pretty darn good. It was injected. They use, I don't remember the name of the Creole seasoning. Tony's. Tony Cacciatore. Is that right?
Okay. Well, listen, I mean, it's better than baked, is what I would say. We had a smoked turkey, and the short of it is we ran out of oven space, which is really saying something because I have two ovens, and as a result, we needed a third oven, and I had already run the meat smoker, my Rectech, because I needed to. I didn't need to, but I wanted to cook some bacon. So I did a long, slow, low smoke of a pound of bacon, and
Nice.
as a result, it was nice and warm, and we were just reheating the smoked turkey. So I popped that in wholesale, off to the races, and it was delicious. Like it was actually, my father-in-law, who does not like white meat, as he will tell you repeatedly, loved it, and yeah, can't go wrong there, right?
I thought it was just my father in law that said things repeatedly.
Oh no, no, I think in general that's a
All father in
like
law thing.
I think it's an all father-in-law thing, but I think also it's a boomer thing. And your father-in-law is in denial of being a boomer. I think he thinks he's an Xer, but he's not. I get such big boomer vibes from him. I know he doesn't listen, so I have no worries about him. You know,
He does
calling me.
have
Plus, he didn't stop by my house, so
he does have some Gen X qualities though.
I think that's not safe for the podcast. Let's leave it there.
Fair enough.
Uh, all right. So, what about your pie situation? I know we talked a little bit about pie before the break.
My pie situation was I actually did not eat any pie for Thanksgiving, Stan. So did I really celebrate Thanksgiving?
No, you did not. What do you mean you didn't have any pie? Was there pie available?
There was a store-bought pie available, but there was also
Store-bought
Cheesecake
pie.
Factory cheesecake available. So I opted for cheesecake.
I have so many questions. Okay. And I like cheesecake, to be completely honest with you. Like I'm a big cheesecake fan, but I I'm okay. All right. Well, I had pie. I had my rhubarb pie. I had a lattice top. It was actually really good. We had some debate over whether or not the pie was done on time. Jonathan, do you know how to determine if a pie is done?
I do not. I have made one pie in my lifetime.
All right, Jonathan, how do you determine if a piece of meat is done?
You temp it.
You temp it. And how do you determine if a piece of bread is done or a loaf of bread is done?
You knock on the bottom.
You temp it. You do the same thing. You can't knock on the bottom of a pie, so you got to temp it as well. I think that's the key, right? So the do you know what temperature water boils at?
I should, but I do not currently. But I was just in the
What is
car
it?
for 8 hours. So
What is it like 208? What temperature does water
212,
boil?
212.
212, 212. Okay, there you go. And as I understand, like you put sugar in it and it actually lowers the boil point or something like that.
Right.
So the key with bread, right? Depending on the type of bread, you're going to be in like the 190 to 205 range. Turns out pies are just the same, Jonathan. So when we were having a heated debate on whether or not the pie was done, I pulled out my thermopen. Guess what? It wasn't done. We left it in 5 more minutes and it was delicious. So
Okay.
I
See,
had a good side game.
I think the reason that we went with store-bought desserts this year is because I don't believe Thanksgiving needs to be as stressful as everyone makes it out to be.
Oh, I don't listen, I don't think
You don't, but who made the pie?
Mrs. Lemon. You know, it's actually funny you say it because she was stressing about that lattice top. It may be in part because of the last episode where I threw a whole bunch of shade at people who put lattice tops on their pies.
You did.
But once the lattice top was assembled and on the pie, stress level came down dramatically.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, no, we our turkey was pre-smoked. Like we bought it from the butcher, which we did last year too.
Nice.
And that reduces the amount of stress by an order of magnitude. And then we really simplified our ingredients, or our not ingredients, our sides. Had America's Test Kitchen's stuffing, which is still fantastic. Probably my favorite stuffing recipe of all time. Sorry, Grandma. But
nice. I don't know that I've ever had it, but now I'll have to look up the recipe because we had no stuffing.
I can't even fathom. That just sounds wrong. But I guess if you're, I mean, I don't know. Did you? So you probably didn't have gravy either, did you?
We did have gravy, so we do actually bake a turkey that we call the sacrificial turkey for gravy and for something else, but I don't remember what.
Mrs. Lemon actually bought gravy in a jar, which I have some, we'll call it religious concerns regarding, but whatever she got, whatever brand she got was actually fantastic. Because when you buy the turkey already from the butcher, right? Like there's nothing you're not going to make gravy off that.
Yep.
And to me, like, you got to have gravy, especially if you get stuffing. So I ate way too much gravy and accompanied it with a little bit of turkey and stuffing too. So,
It sounds delicious, Dan.
All right. So we got one holiday in the bag. We got another one coming up and then another one. I don't think we're going to Christmas talk. I don't think we need to talk about that right now, but I did want to, it's been a recurring theme on this podcast in the previous era to talk about goals in New Year's. And I feel like we rushed that discussion. So I wanted to start it now because I think we can do this one justice. One of your goals for 2026 is to become a bucket person. That I know for sure.
Right, based on this episode, and so should all of yours.
So a few years ago, if just to rewind, I think we talked a little bit about forming habits rather than setting goals.
Correct.
This has been your jam.
Worked wonderful for you, right?
I mean, I think. Wait, are you being serious or sarcastic?
I'm being serious.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, it sounded like you might have been sarcastic, man. I wasn't sure.
Like in era one of Twice Life with a Twist of Lemon, like one of the years was reading every day for it was a set amount of time. I think it wasn't a number of books. It was reading every day for 20 minutes or whatever.
I think it was 15, but yeah, roughly, right? And so the goal was just to do it every day. I kept track of a streak, and I guess I do read a lot, don't I? Pretty consistently.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. No, that's fair. I tried. I mean, I definitely tried in years past to form habits. I don't know, John. I think you really got it. Like, this is your jam. You should set this up. Why habits versus goals?
I think that ultimately it stems from people not being able to set what is actually a good goal, or they like set a goal that doesn't necessarily apply to them, and then once you hit the goal, it's done. Um, I think the habit is plays into the whole incremental progress thing. So if you form a habit, then it just is still going now here 6 years later in terms of your uh, reading habit. You did fitness stuff. I can't remember what else we've covered, but you are now an extremely habitual person, and you do lots of things every day.
Yeah, I do. I think for me, the thing that I've struggled with goals is when you hit them, what happens next,
Right.
right? If you hit them early, if you hit them late, et cetera, right? And so the finality of it, the finishing of a goal, is that supposed to be the last thing, or is there more to it? And most of the stuff that I want to accomplish doesn't actually have a finale, like a finale to it, right? So,
At
I
this
think
point in life, like
everybody.
there are times when it does happen. Like once it was buy a house in this year, and that is a goal, or things like that, or pay off a house, or retire, or things like that.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that type of goal. Just to be clear, like I'm not trying to knock on that, but I think just take the fitness one because I think I mean not everybody, but a large portion of society attempts in the new year to set a goal to begin fitness stuff, and it's always it's comical, right? Because we all stay up crazy late, December 31st. We wake up January 1st, exhausted, maybe a little hungover, and we're like, oh, we're going to start our fitness journey, which is probably like the absolute worst conditions to begin it under, but we do it anyhow, right? And by the end of January, the gym's empty again, right? Essentially.
Yep.
And I think I have a problem, like me personally, I have a problem with waiting to start on the first of the year, first of all, with a thing. Um, the other thing I would say is that, with the fitness goal, like if you set an objective or goal, like lose 15 pounds, right? So what are you going to do when you're done? You're just going to stop doing the thing? Like that's not I don't think that's a good goal, right?
Right.
And so I think just holistic habitual motion is better for people, because you're creating I don't know. I don't want you're not creating an end state. You're just creating a state that you want to be in. I think the other thing too is like the end state for so many things that we want to do in life requires maintenance, right? It's even buying the house, right? You buy the
Oh,
house, you got to take care of
absolutely.
it.
Yep.
Yeah. And I think we just have a habit of not necessarily talking about goals that way. Now, that said, I did set some goals this year and I've been like pretty successful with them. To be honest with you, I had a same goals I set last year. I wanted to ride 500 miles, right? Notice I didn't do ride daily because I'm not going to ride daily for 300 some odd days, right? Because Indiana weather sucks in the winter, right? Like I'm not gonna go do that. But I
Fair.
wanted to achieve a certain number of miles in total.
Nice.
The other things I did, I set a goal because I read every day, right? That's my habit. But there were two books in particular I wanted it to read. Let's see what you think of this. I wanted to read Moby Dick. Did that. That
I
was that
remember
was that
this.
was something. Yeah, that
I
was something.
I warned you against that, but
I don't have any regrets, man. Like,
I know you liked
is
it a
it?
whole lot more than I did.
I think okay. You have to keep in mind a book like Moby Dick you will like better if you have someone to talk to it to excuse me to talk to about it, right? So I had my beloved Professor Reed to talk to about Moby Dick, and I think being able to talk to him periodically over the course of gosh, it had to have been at least a month plus, about what was going on, like made the book better, right? Allowed me
Okay.
to mind depths of it. The other thing too is, as so many things in life, there's a lot of Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan that like echoes Moby Dick. And so, I watched Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan before I started the book, after I finished it, and maybe three or four times in between. And so you take all of that, right, and you tie it together, and it makes the book better as well. So, you know, there was that element. But then the other thing I wanted to do, the other book I wanted to read this year was Lord of the Rings, which I've read before, but I set the goal specifically of reading Lord of the Rings slowly. And so I took probably 3.5, 4 months to read Lord of the Rings. And I read The Hobbit before, and I read that one slowly too. No more than one chapter a day. Um, and I gained a different appreciation for that book by reading it slowly, which was the objective, right?
Nice. Well,
So
I'm definitely a fan of the second book that you wanted to read this year. So,
I know you are. When was the last time you read it?
2 years ago.
Okay, so you do.
I am due. There's some other stuff that I've been reading this year. I've been working through another fantasy series or fantasy author that you have put me onto. So I read a lot of Brandon Sanderson this year.
Are you thinking of going down the Stormlight Archive?
I have bought The Way of Kings. I have read the prologue. So I will continue on.
Okay, I want regular updates on this. This can be a podcast that we can talk about. Um, here's the thing I wanted to pose by, at least as a starting point here. My goals, my habits for the last few years. I actually write them down. Do you write yours down?
I have. I don't know if I did last year.
Okay, so I keep a note, an Apple Note, and each year I put a heading and I list them out. And I actually, like last year, I got too greedy with my goals, and I struck out the ones I decided to eliminate, which was totally fair, right? There was one write once a week. I just didn't get it done. I couldn't do it with everything else. But then I use little emojis to track, met, not met, that kind of thing. And I've been adding this note over the years so I can look back and see what they are, which is kind of cool. In 2024, my list got too long. 2025, I tried to stay pretty focused. I keep asking myself, like, for 2026, is it maintaining the habits that I've formed? Do I need to always be creating new habits? Do I care that much? What do you think about new habits? Do you always have to be forming new habits?
I do not think that you always need to be forming new habits, and I don't think you always need to be trying something new or doing something new either. I think there is a time to be comfortable in kind of your cadence of life. So I think that it's more protecting that from bad habits forming. Like if you start, scrolling on Instagram reels for 2 hours every day.
Hey man, hey, I had a little bit of downtime today. I know you probably like opened it up and saw like 16,000 of them. It's all right. It's all right. Once I
I
get back into
have.
my work
And they're
routine.
getting more and more like out there. Like it used to just be Lord of the Rings themed, and now it's like I don't know what's going on anymore, Stan.
The four blue dogs one, that was good. That was good.
That was good.
Okay. I think man, I think my Instagram algorithm at this point is a combo of Lord of the Rings, some wacky lawn and garden stuff, a whole bunch of like gym rat stuff, which makes no sense because I'm not a gym rat. A bunch of Pilates stuff,
Oh,
and
that's
then
probably from when you tagged all the Apple Fitness Plus people. Got you in the
it could be
fitness algorithm.
got me in the fitness algorithm. But then lately it's been this like millennial I don't know, stuff. I don't even know what to call it, millennial stuff. And I'm finding that very amusing. The millennial memes, the millennial reels. So, but
Nice.
I think one of the things back to the habits that I've been trying to decide on is the habits that I have that are like well established. Do I even bother to write them down? Like I have a habit that I want to keep going in 2025. No change there. That habit's been established. We'll say for 4 years, 5 years. Do I write it down? Do I need to, or do I
I
drop
would
it?
not
Like, does it matter?
I would not write the habit down unless you have like a specific milestone or something you're trying to hit.
Oh, interesting. See, I think a bunch of my habits probably this last year did not have distinct milestones. Like, I'll give you a good example. When I wanted to play the guitar regularly, like practice my guitar regularly,
Well, that was a new
there's
habit, right? It's not something you've been doing for 4 years. So like
well, two and a half.
if you want to up the like cadence in which you're doing something, I think write it down. But if it's just kind of maintaining the status quo, then if you aren't concerned about it or if you don't have like something you're trying to hit, like on guitar. If you want to learn how to play, I don't know, some cool classical finger picking Christmas song by December, then do that.
But that's a goal. That's not a habit at that point, right?
Correct. Yeah. So like if the
Okay.
habit is formed, you probably aren't even really thinking about it anymore.
Yeah, I worry sometimes about stopping my habits and not realizing I'm stopping them. That's something that's like often on my mind, right? Like the read every day one. If it's not on the list, am I gonna slow down, stop reading? Because there was a big stretch of my life pre-pandemic in particular that I didn't read. Like I just straight up didn't read books. I read emails, I read blog articles, but I didn't read books.
Right.
And I think I have a slight paranoia that I'm going to revert back to that.
I don't think it's going to happen, Stan.
You think is that well galvanized into my aura at this point?
Probably.
All right.
Like,
Well,
do you do it at a certain time every day or does it change?
oh, my reading? No, I do not read. In fact, um, it's just uh, I read in between moments. So I
Yeah.
I
So
like to
like,
sit down and read, but I use it as like anytime I can in between things that are going on, I will read. So it's a habit that fills the moment. It's not a habit that I set aside time for.
so basically you have to protect against bad habits then. So keep reading instead of scrolling on Instagram Reels.
Yeah, but I love Instagram Reels.
So maybe you need to put that one down, Stan. But once you hit like brush your teeth, then I don't think you need to write it down anymore.
Yeah, brush my teeth. Yeah, I get you. I think there's some other stuff. I mean, the practice guitar is a good example of one, right? Like, does that need to be written down at this point? I don't think so.
Especially since you like you're doing guitar because you enjoy it and yeah, so it's just kind of an entertainment habit for you at this point.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, that's fair. Fitness is another one that I always debate, right? Do you think at this point, John, that I could wake up and not do a Pilates session?
I do not. I think that at this point, your fitness app is pristine, so I don't think you would want to mess up those rings.
I, I don't know. It's funny you mention that because I don't know that I actually care about the streak of rings. I
Interesting.
like I the rings are not the motivating factor for me on the fitness journey. Do you believe me when I say that?
I do believe you I say that when you
Okay.
say that.
All right.
Wow. Again, I was in the car for 8 hours today, so I'm trying to word.
You're trying to wear it. Trying to wear. No, I think it's cool, but there's a certain point at which some of the streaks surrounding that and like the movement of goals becomes kind of silly, to be honest with you. So, for example, right, if you've done the monthly challenges, every so often you've got a month challenge that is just absurd, right? I think mine this month was 14 days of 53 minutes of exercise, right?
And your ring
Which
is usually set to 30 minutes of exercise.
yeah, and I'm not going to change it, right? So the only reason I closed that goal this month is because we went on a vacation where we did a boat ton of walking, right?
Nice.
And without that, I don't close it. 1,000% don't close it.
Well, I
So
did not close my 14 days of an absurdly high move calorie goal. So,
yeah, those are so frustrating. Especially because my fitness routine has a lot of resistance training, which doesn't burn calories on the watch. Like it doesn't register a ton of calories. So like your move goal, I don't know. This is what I mean, right? Like I think there's enough nuance now, and I understand my pattern, my routine, that it's less ring motivated um, than not. Like I don't know if it was ever ring motivated, to be completely honest with you.
yep,
But
I think that you are very much outcome motivated, mainly not dying at the young age of 42.
I want to be able to stand up on my own 2 feet. Yeah. Which, gosh, man, I think of all the attempts I've had at fitness over my life, and the like, I don't want to die young has somehow managed to be the most motivating one of them all. And it's weird too, because it wasn't like a specific, I'm going to go lose this number of pounds, or I'm going to bench press or anything like that. Like,
Run a
it was
marathon.
just, yeah, no, definitely not run a marathon.
Got some of
Funny
those in
enough,
your
though.
house.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there is. The goal was just to do something, and with variation. So maybe this is the thing that was most unique about the last year, actually last 2 years, right? Was rather than just do one thing, to do different kinds of things all the time, and to have that variableness to it. So, there's a certain amount of variableness you get just by Pilates in general. And that's my big part of my routine, but also cycling and rowing and some of the strength routines and bicycling outdoors, and most recently running, and like in swimming at that. So like just having that constant mix. Because one of the things that I realized, at least for me, is I was mostly cardio centric, not a lot of resistance training. And I suspected that was probably not good, because I think with so many things, a balanced perspective on it leads to the best outcome. And I realized, at least for me, fitness wise, I've never had a balanced approach, not once.
What about like high school gym class?
Oh, high school gym class was a joke, and I mean, like, I went to a public school. My gym class was pretty darn big. We did bowling at one point, where we actually went to a bowling alley. We did have a swimming section. We had a bunch of stuff that actually happened in the gym, and I don't remember what we did at all. Like, I couldn't tell you.
Badminton.
And then I didn't take gym my last year either. So,
So you only got 2 years of gym.
Yeah, only 2 years of gym in high school. So maybe there's a whole bunch of stuff they did junior year that I missed out on. But I ran a lot back then, right? That was definitely a thing I did, but that was it. And I wasn't running. I don't think I ever timed. So in high school, when I would run, I don't think I timed anything. And I didn't even keep track of distance. I remember I had mom drive a route that I did with some consistency one time, just to get a ballpark. But that was very different running, right? So like Lucy, when she runs now, it's all about a specific distance. It's all about a specific time. She's got routines built up all around it. That's not how I ever ran. And even today, all I'm trying to do when I go run is I'm going to do like 1 mile. I'm not going to die, and I'm not going to walk in the middle of it. And I'm like, I set a loose time window, right? Like, I have a certain target that I would like to hit before I die, just to spite one person I work with, whom I love dearly. And then I'll be fine.
Mile.
No. I think the magic number is 8:13. I think, and 8:13 miles is what I'm gunning for, because it's 1 second faster than, again, this person I like who talks trash. So, and I'm not a competitive person, Jonathan. I'm really not. Everybody says I am, but I'm not.
You kind of are. I don't know if it's competitiveness or ego, but
it's ego. It's ego. I don't think it's competitive, because like I don't really care. There's no winning or losing. It's ego, right? But yeah, the perspective on fitness, I think, different. And even like food stuff too. You were here. You didn't see me like micromanage my food, as far as I can recall, right?
True.
Okay. I do have a propensity to track my protein, because I recognize that I feel better when I have a higher protein diet. But even that, it's not been about like weight loss. I did not set a weight loss goal this year.
But
I don't
you
think
do
I
have
will
a
next
weight
year.
loss goal, right? Or is it the goal that you're trying to avoid, so you don't have to bring back the earring?
No, that could be. No, I didn't set a weight loss goal this year. I don't plan to next year either. And I didn't even set like a, inches off the belt kind of thing, because I've been focused on some resistance training, right? So my anticipation is actually that my weight would go up. not down. So, I don't know. I think, man, weight loss goals too. They're such a mind game because you want to like make a mad rush to get to zero, right? Not
And
zero, but
zero is
like mad.
unhealthy. Yes.
Yeah, zero's unhealthy. But a mad rush to get to the goal. And again, like this goes back to the like, there's no sustaining right on it. Um,
Yep. And I think that this works whenever you're trying to develop habits or try to get other people to develop habits who you work with. Maybe it's like, hey, go through my lieutenants to actually get my attention. But it's like, yes, you could set a quarterly sales goal for a salesperson, right? But chances are they have to do things on a daily basis to actually reach that sales goal if it's right sized.
if it's right sized, yeah.
And like you ask questions in a certain way when you're in these situations and you pick up the phone and call people, and just kind of building those work habits are the stepping stones that get you to the goal in the business context.
That's a good call out. And here's a, I don't know, random piece of data. My Lord of the Rings goal, right? I think I finished that like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
Sounds right.
It wasn't that long ago. And if you look at the calendar, right, and I did every like no more than one chapter a day. That means I started that goal pretty late in the year. And this was different. This is a different like vibe for me because usually start of the year gonna go for it. I deliberately did not start this one until we were on our cruise in the Mediterranean because I, first of all, didn't want to, but I also knew that the number of days, I basically took the number of chapters times 2, and I was like, all right, I have to start sometime in the second half to the last third of the year, right? And I modified the goal ever so slightly because I decided, you know what, I'm going to actually read The Hobbit first, and I'm going to do The Hobbit slowly, and then I'm going to go right into Lord of the Rings.
Which makes sense.
Yeah. And so I actually started that on the cruise ship, one chapter of The Hobbit a day, which is also not a lot because it's a pretty small book. And I wasn't really super committed to reading a lot while on the boat. But that was my progression then into the second half of the year and reading Lord of the Rings slowly. And I knew I needed to double the number of days because like stuff's going to happen. I'm not going to necessarily finish a chapter every day. I may get a couple pages in. Some of those chapters are really long too, So that's another thing too that I think I see if this is crazy, but I think not starting some goals on January 1st is actually super helpful.
And yeah, I think that if you want to do something, just start it. Like maybe there's a good reason to postpone it for a time. Like maybe, hey, you know that it's going to be really hard to keep this up when you're traveling for Christmas. Like, okay, sure. But like I started being semi-regular with fitness, not to your level. But it was like in the second last week of June. So, and it was like easy because it was nice outside, so I wanted to be outside, and things of that nature. So
You say my level of fitness like I'm a fitness nut. I am not. All I do is I wake up in the morning and I do 30 minutes, usually something on Fitness Plus, and that is it. And then I'm done for the day.
you
Like
say that, but do you know how many people like couldn't even dream of that, Stan, at this point?
Okay, I hear you, but like, I'm not going to the gym, for an hour plus a
Right.
day, or I'm
And
not exercising
I
multiple times a day.
still will skip multiple days a week, especially when I didn't do anything while I was traveling for Thanksgiving. So
I do break my rules some days. Like I didn't do my 30 minutes of Apple Fitness Plus today.
what did you do instead?
I went to Pilates class. But and I'm not saying this will happen for everybody, but part of the thing that I have learned, at least in doing what I do, is that I am more productive at work. I get a faster start. I actually end up like more effective longer, and then ultimately I go to bed and sleep better too. So
You
that's
have this hardwired mindset, personality, um, to being, I'm missing the word, um,
8 hours of driving.
8 hours of driving again, right? You have this self discipline that I think very few people have. Like I am pretty hard headed, so I have a certain level of self discipline, but you like take it to this whole new level with pretty much everything that you commit to doing. So
I don't. It's fair to say that I don't do halvesies. I don't do little things, right? Like I'm
well,
either
you do
all in or
little
not.
things, but you're all in on them.
Oh yeah, but let's okay. That's what I mean. Like I'm either all in or I'm not in. Right? There's no. Um,
And I think that's pretty rare just based on people that I interact with through my 30 some years of life.
All right. So you think waking up every morning and doing 30 minutes of Apple Fitness Plus is just because I'm all in?
I think the fact that you've kept this up for what, like 3 years now? Yeah,
Probably 2.5.
2.5.
Yeah.
So,
Because it started with the elliptical,
right.
and then I wore the elliptical out. The elliptical had a good long life though.
Good.
That was a really interesting turning point. The elliptical breaks, right? And that's when I decided to go and do Apple Fitness Plus, believe it or not. Because I went to
You had
look
no
at
more
replacing.
equipment.
I had no more equipment, and I was like, all right, in true Stan fashion, I'm going to buy something. And I decided I would buy a rowing machine instead of an elliptical because I wanted to actually try Apple Fitness Plus. This is a weird way to think about all of this.
I thought it was because you wanted to do something like active with your arms instead of them just kind of sitting there. So,
Well, it's part of it, right? So the elliptical dies, and I'm like, all right, I need something because I wanted to do cardio, right? Because I was in like a cardio only mindset. So I started looking at options. I don't want a treadmill. I do not want a treadmill in my house. I think treadmills, they're just so stinking heavy. They're impossible to move. They take up a lot of space. If you're buying a Peloton, they're downright dangerous. Like I'm not a treadmill guy, right? So that was out. I was like, well, I could do a bike, but I really don't like biking indoors, right? I don't like biking indoors for the same reason I don't like running indoors. Part of the thing that I like about biking and riding is being outside. So, the progression of thought then is like, well, what's next? And so I actually used our friend ChatGPT, and this is early days, right? Because I've had the rower now for like a year and 3 months, something like that. And ChatGPT convinced me that the rowing was an interesting way to do cardio and layer on resistance, right? Because when you do rowing, you're not getting the same type of resistance like if you do dumbbells or whatever, but you work a crazy number of muscles. Same thing like with swimming, right? Like if you go swim, you work so many muscles, it's just insane. I went swimming the other day and I was like dead to the world the next day. Um,
nice.
but the thing this was the progression. ChatGPT was like, hey, you should check out rowing. And then I was like, all right, well, how do I know, like, do I just row a constant for an interval or whatever? And it talked about different plans, different techniques, and then starting to list out subscriptions. And one of the things it mentioned was that Apple Fitness Plus has rowing. And so I looked at it and I was like, okay, this is really intriguing. Maybe I should just try it. And so I bought I bought a rowing machine. I bought a rather inexpensive rowing machine. I did a little bit of research again with ChatGPT to find, what type of rowing machine I wanted. But I just got something from like SunnyFit Health, and turns out I love that. And that was actually kind of the gateway drug to adding resistance training into the mix because I was doing cardio and doing some resistance training, and I'm now in the Apple Fitness Plus ecosystem, right? And
well, you were already paying for it without ever using it.
Yeah, I was already paying for it.
So you could get the backup, right?
I'd done a few things. Like I think I had done core. I did the dance thing once, which it is what it is.
You still got to try kickboxing though. Kickboxing
I do.
fun.
I do. Yeah, no, I absolutely do. But the thing that happened next was that a colleague told me, "Hey, you should try Pilates," because I was flying around a lot and my back was starting to bother me, right? And I went and I did a single like 10-minute Pilates session on Apple Fitness Plus, and I was like, holy crap, that's intense. And then I ignored it promptly for a while. Right. then I want to go into physical therapy for the back. And I was starting to notice this symmetry between some of the things that they had me doing with the resistance bands and things I had observed in Pilates. Right. And so that drove me back to then being curious about it and tried it from there. And then I kind of fell in love. So then I had this routine that I was largely alternating between rowing and Pilates. And that has just kind of snowballed into layering on the other things. Lucy really wanted an exercise bike, so I finally went and bought an exercise bike. She doesn't use it anymore, but I do use that with the Apple Fitness Plus cycling. So, but that diversity actually, I think, helped me, Jonathan, in terms of like establishing a routine with the different things. So the only constant is Fitness Plus, right?
Oh, it's activity too. Like, I think that you could survive without Fitness Plus. Pilates would be a little more difficult, but you've probably done enough of those now that you could make up your own routine.
Yeah, well, and that the funny thing about that is one of the reasons for the exercise app, which I'm going to finish someday, maybe that'll be my December thing, was to track just doing Pilates series of 5 because I was like, there's nothing. I haven't found an app that will just let me track it right with timers and whatnot.
Sure.
And I wanted to just do that, so I built an app, right?
Because you can.
Because I can.
Anyone can, but
well, I mean, anyone can with Lovable, right, or Claude.
We were doing so well. Elizabeth almost would have liked this episode, and now we've talked about AI again.
Hey, here, crazy hot take for you. I've been using Claude Max today. The default model is Opus now instead of Sonnet, and I'm not really sure what to make of that. So,
interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's just. I think it might be just a Claude Max thing. Opus was released with like a big splash this week, and apart from it telling me earlier that iOS 26 wasn't a real thing, it's been pretty good. I moved pretty quick on a bunch of different projects. So, so the last thing I want to talk about actually is one of those projects.
Okay.
So when was it? It was probably like a year and a half ago. Did we start prototyping the wine app?
Maybe even longer.
I wonder if I can find this quickly. So we had this idea because we like tasting wine, that we would make a wine tasting application. You were going to be the product manager, and I was going to build the application.
Build the things, yes.
Build the things, and I started on that. I think I had a pretty good run where I was doing a bunch of changes. I was using a bunch of the work that I did with dollar and cents to make it go faster, right?
Yep.
But it was just crazy busy. So it looks like we started this in May, the beginning of May, 2023. All right. And so we had pretty rapid fire development up until, I'm going to say, August of 2023.
Just when
and then there was a
traveling.
hiatus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we hit some friction points too. Like, I couldn't get any testers to actually test out the app to get more feedback. And then we were having questions about pricing models and kind of go to market type things there, which I think we have more tools now.
We have more tools. I think the other thing too is I think we got a little bit ahead of ourselves because I had some questions about certain architectural choices in the application, and to change them was difficult. The other thing is, with Swift development in particular, it is sometimes really hard to find examples of working code.
Mm-hmm.
And the feedback loops can be really slow, right? Just the nature of iOS development. Yep. And this is where our friend Claude comes into play, because I sat down this morning. Yeah, it was this morning. And the last time I had touched this application was in May of this year to try an icon. That's all I did. Before that, it was January, right, of 2024.
So it's sitting there.
It's been sitting there. And I have done a whole bunch of refactoring, retooling. I overhauled the, I think we called it the charts tab, but it's actually the insights tab on this thing now. And did a bunch of modernization, fixed a bunch of bugs. And I honestly had it doing most of the work either while I was at Pilates class today or while I was watching the Steelers.
That's awesome.
I think that I'm going to push this up. It's probably going to be tomorrow at this rate, just because it's late. But I'm going to push this into TestFlight at some point within the next 24 hours. And I think that we should use it this. I have a random data generators too, so you can look at it.
Nice.
So yeah, I don't know how to delete all of those things. I got to come back to that. But so I think we should try it out for the Wall Street Journal Advent wine calendar that we both got.
Ah, yes.
So, because that'll give us a daily checkpoint on the application, and I can have Claude do things day to day, right? To
And
enhance
we'll
it.
have 24 real live use cases.
24 real live use cases. And I think, are we going to do the thing we did last year where we jumped on a call and talked about the wine?
I think so. That was fun.
That was fun. So that's why I resurrected the app. I got pretty far today. I got some more to do. My main thing is I got to make sure that the photos piece works. That was one of the things that maybe gave me the most anxiety last time we did this or played around with this, is because, data storage is a thing.
Yep.
But assuming that I can get all that done, taken care of, and ready to go, we'll have something to play with. I think it'll be fun.
Nice. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
What I appreciate is, here's an idea I had that I put some time into, you put some time into, and the struggle, the thing that made it slow was more about debugging and tracking down documentation on how to do something than it was writing the actual code. And that's something that Claude is really good at, right? Like, I want to go do X and it'll just go do it, and it'll find out how, and I can look at it, I can review it and say, actually, no, I didn't like how to do it. Go do it this way. Right. So.
Okay. I'm excited now.
All right. Now, I guess the kicker here is, if anybody's interested in the wine tasting application, you should reach out. What is it? podcast@twistoflemonpod.com is our email address. Shoot us an email. I will absolutely add you as a TestFlight user, and we'll give it a go.
Yep. Sounds awesome.
All right, cool. And I guess on the next time we meet, John, we'll have to talk about how the app has been doing, maybe what we think of the Wall Street Journal wine advent calendar. For those that don't know, we did the Star Trek advent wine calendar last year, which I would say about half those wines were decent.
That's generous.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there were a few that were so egregious that we knew that we wouldn't do the Star Trek advent wine calendar again. So,
which seems like other people have had that thought, because they're pushing them really hard and it's really close to Advent.
They're pushing them really hard. Yeah. The drip campaign for those has been a little ridiculous, but yeah. So anyhow, I think we'll call it at that, Jonathan, and we will we'll talk about the app and the wine next time.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for another episode.
All right. Until next time, Jonathan.
That's a wrap, yo, time to unplug. Stan and John just served that mug. Twist of lemon, sharp and clean. Truth and tech on your podcast screen. Catch us next time, don't let it slip. Wisdom packed in every clip. From faith to fiber, finance to code. We're taking the mic down the open road. Stay sharp, stay bold. That's the theme, with a lemon twist and a pod stream. Dream, 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 dream. Yo, time to unplug. Stan and John just served that mug. Twist of lemon, sharp and clean. Truth and tech on your podcast screen. Catch us next time, don't let it slip. Wisdom packed in every clip. From faith to fiber, finance to code. We're taking the mic down the open road. Stay sharp, stay bold. That's the theme, with a lemon twist and a pod stream. Dream.